You're listening to BYU-Idaho Radio. I'm Nathan Lenahan, and today I'm joined by Rachel Horner and Ian Grant. Rachel is the director of the upcoming Holes stage production, and Ian Grant plays the role of Stanley Yelnats. Guys, thank you both so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
So before we get into talking about the play, I would just like to get a bit of background information on both of you, just so our listeners can learn a little bit more about you. Rachel, would you start?
Sure. So my name is Rachel Horner. I'm from Spokane, Washington. My family and I just moved back here. It's so great to be back. My husband and I were students here on campus, and it's really fun to come back now as locals and be a part of the Rexburg community and have this opportunity to work with the Cultural Arts Department for the city and put on this production. So this is pretty exciting.
I'm Ian Grant, and about 3 years ago, we moved here from Kansas, Wichita. And in Kansas, I've done a lot of theater in the past, and and I'm excited to do Holes.
Nice. And so, Rachel, what experience do you have in, stage directing and theater and things like that before getting into this production?
Thank you for asking. So, theater and dance were part of my degree while I was here, and then I had, as a teenager, had trained with a youth theater training arts program, and then after graduating, I continued to work for that same organization, Christian Youth Theater in Spokane, as an instructor, and then just moved up into choreography and then directing, and then I had directed with them for about 5 years, and then I went on to be a middle school drama teacher for a couple of years. And so I've just had a lot of really great experiences for the last several years of being able to teach theater and direct different plays and write shows. So it's really fun to be able to come here to Rexburg and get involved in the theater scene here.
Right. Is this your first production directing here in Rexburg?
It is my first production here in Rexburg. So that's been really exciting. The coolest part, I think, is getting to know the theater arts community here in Rexburg. There is so much talent in this area, and people are so incredibly generous with their time and their talents, and everyone will just come out and be like, hey, I can do this, or I can offer this, or I can do this for your show. And it's just been such an incredible collaborative effort.
That's great. And so, Ian, you said you've done acting and stuff in theater
Mhm.
before. What got you interested in that?
I think probably my older brother. My older brother is pretty into theater. Um, he really started everything in theater in our family. And I just wanted to follow my older brother. So
Right. Yeah. And is this your first lead role? Because, I mean, Stanley Yelnats, he'd be considered the lead role, right? I know
He
there's
is
other
indeed
characters.
the lead
Okay.
role.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, is this your first lead role?
yeah,
And how are you feeling about it?
yeah, it's it's pretty good. It was a pretty big jump. I was in A Christmas Carol before Holes, and I had the first time ever having lines then, and then huge jump to main character. So yeah, it's been fun.
Nice. And so, Rachel, could you tell us a bit about this production? I guess for anyone who isn't familiar with Holes.
Absolutely. So Holes is based off of a young adult book by Louis Sacker of the same title. And the author actually did the stage adaptation of the play himself, which is really fun because he also did the screenplay for the film that came out in the early 2000s with Disney. And so between the book and the film and the stage play, it's all pretty consistent since the author himself was doing all of the writing. So essentially, Holes follows the story of Stanley Yelnats the fourth, and we learn from him that his family is cursed with this generational curse on all the men in their family that they're just going to be really unlucky. And they're always going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Stanley gets falsely accused of stealing some really famous merchandise from a famous athlete, and he is sent to Camp Green Lake, which is supposed to be this rehabilitation center for juvenile delinquents. And the whole idea is that they go to the middle of this big dried out lake bed in the middle of Texas to go dig holes. And the idea is you put a bad boy in the sun to dig a hole, and that'll turn him into a good boy. That's the whole mantra of this camp. And while there, Stanley is able to befriend the fellow kids who are there at the camp, and we discover that not everything's what it seems to be, and that there's really something that they're digging for.
Right. I love Holes. I never read the book when I was younger, but I did enjoy the movie, and I still do.
Mm.
So Ian, before you got your role in this play, were you pretty familiar with the book and movie, or did you just kind of go in blind and have to learn about it later?
So I had never read the book, but I watched the movie quite a few times. So I knew the story and I was pretty familiar with it. So I wasn't just like going in blind.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps a lot.
Mhm.
And so you said the author wrote the screenplay as well. So, does it differ a lot from the movie at least?
Um, for the most part, it's pretty consistent. Some of the dialogue is a bit different from the movie to the play. The play actually goes a little bit deeper into the Stanley's family history. We'll get to spend a lot more time in the flashbacks, both in the book and in the movie. We experience as the audience lots of flashbacks to Stanley's great 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 grandfather and all these things that happened in Texas in the city of Green Lake before it dried up. And in the play, we just get to be in those moments a little bit longer and get to be with those characters a little bit longer. So that part's really been fun and an exciting thing.
So, how does the arts department decide what plays to do?
That's a great question. I think they look at a variety of things of kind of what is public interest or what is available, what is needed. Do we need a show that's specifically for children? Do we need a show that's specifically for a mixed um cast or like mixed ages and or show that mostly features adults? They just kind of, I think look at everything going on and be like, what is most needed to bring our community together? What would be a really fun project for all of us to work on together? And so I think the great thing about Holes is that we do have mixed ages in the cast. So our youngest cast member is 7 and our oldest cast member is 77. So like we have this long range of ages in the show, which is really fun because it really does feel like a family event.
So, how many people are involved in this production?
Quite a few. We have 24 in the cast, plus we have 6 children who are playing our yellow spotted lizards. And then we have anywhere from 12 to 15 production staff who are helping run things behind the scenes. And then we've just had countless volunteers who've come in to help with sets or props, um, graphics, social media, all those kinds of things. So we're probably looking at anywhere from about 50 people now have been involved or have somehow helped out with the production.
Right. So, yeah, definitely a community effort. And about how long have you been preparing for this and working on it? Because a play is no small feat, but I've never been in part of theater or anything, so I don't know exactly how much work goes into it.
Absolutely. So we auditioned beginning of December. And so then we casted and then we were off for Christmas. So ever since we all came back from Christmas break, so start of the year with January, we have been working every weekend on the production. And so it's been a few months now, like
Yeah.
3.5, I think.
And I guess for each of you, I guess starting with you, Ian, what's your biggest challenge been in getting ready for this role?
I feel like memorizing my lines. As soon as I got the script, like every day, I was like for a couple of hours, I was reading the script, trying to get the lines down and like understand the story better and everything. So
And what about you, Rachel?
So I knew I was going to be jumping on this project back in August. So it was going back and studying all the original source materials as soon as I got my hands on a script. I also read the script several times and start thinking about blocking. How are we going to stage this? Like, what can we possibly do with the set? Started developing a soundtrack and everything that will help influence the play. And so, been working on it for a really long time. I don't think I've stopped thinking about it since I got hired to do the project.
Yeah, that's understandable. And I guess, what do each of you, I guess, hope for in the future after this production is done? How to continue, I guess, enjoying and taking part in theater.
um, I for sure want to continue doing theater, but I really hope that I are still connected to all these people, um, like through text or just hanging out sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with what Ian said. I think the biggest hope is that I think the reason we come together to do community theater, one, not only to put on a cool show and to be able to provide this for the city, but it's really about the relationships that you develop and the friendships that you build. Um, and coming together and building this family. So you always hope that you can continue those friendships and relationships beyond the show, or be able to jump on and do new projects together. Because this is such a great way to meet new people and get to know the community and build friendships, which I think is the most important.
And this will be the show will be put on from the 20th to the 28th at the Romance Theater. So where can people go if they're interested in buying tickets and seeing the show?
You go to rexburgarts.org and you look under tickets and events and scroll down, you'll see Holes, and you can click on the link and it'll take you to the tickets.
Perfect. Easy as that. And just last, what is something that you guys would want the community just to know about this production and about just everything that the community theater puts on and does?
I want them to know that, like, how much work we put into this, and I really want to for them to see that that we put in so much work, and for them to love it.
Absolutely. I jump on what Ian said. And then really that this is just such a special area. Um, as I had mentioned earlier, just everyone who has come out of the woodworks to come and help with this production or have auditioned for it, and just how incredibly giving everyone has been. I hope that's what's evident on stage, is that so many people have just been so kind and generous with time and talents, and this has just been a really neat area, and it's been really fun. Also, we have a lot of BYU-Idaho students in the production or helping the production. Our assistant director, Josh Ford, is a student here on campus. Our stage manager is a student here on campus. Our set designer is a student, and several of our actors are students here. So it's just also been really special to have this project that the community could work on with students from campus. So just coming together just as a whole area, which has been really neat.
Rachel and Ian, thank you both so much for coming in today and
Thank
for
you.
sharing all this
Thank
with
you.
us.